Welcome to GabTalks, where we provide tools, tips, and techniques to help your life and business be easier, better, and faster. Hello, everybody. How are you today? Welcome to our next episode of Gab Talks, Success Tips from Experts. And today I get to bring to you the awesome, the amazing, my friend, Mike Ficara. Hey, Mike.
Hey, thank you so much for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you here too. You and I met through digital media, through Facebook groups like 4 or 5 years ago. We got to be friends in these groups and I got to
Yep.
learn about your background. You are an amazing marketer. But instead of me telling everybody about you, will you share with our audience about your expertise?
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, it's a small world on the internet, right? And
Yes.
really great to meet you. And my expertise, I kid around and say I'm not really an expert in anything, but I've been able to work with amazing people and really have fell in love with marketing. I focus on marketing, sales, and implementation, and helping businesses grow and scale.
Yeah, and I've seen some of the businesses that you work with, some from 5 years ago and 2 years
Yeah.
ago before everything shut down, and some of the things since then. And you just have such an amazing background and client base. I am very fortunate and honored to be able to call you a friend. Yeah, you have a really interesting backstory that got you where you are today. Will you share that with us?
Yeah. I kid around and say it's the typical entrepreneur story, right? Terrible student in high school and most of my academic career. Really didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. Went to college because that was the thing you were supposed to do, and ended up substitute teaching. One of my old teachers invited me to substitute teach. Fell in love with that. Ended up teaching for the better part of a decade. Then I went and got my master's degree in educational technology, and unknowingly went to go work for a startup. Out of a school, they asked me to be the assistant principal of curriculum, and they ended up running this kind of online learning management system, and I was scared, to be honest with you. Didn't know what I was doing, didn't know what to expect, and they actually hired someone to do sales, and he lasted about a week. They fired him, and they said, okay, you're coming on the first sales trip with us. And went out because I was a teacher, I knew how to present, so I went up and just presented as if I was teaching a class, right? And that company actually ended up going private, and started working in public, private, and charter schools. Got investment from a guy by the name of Wayne Huizinga, which you don't know who he is. He's the founder of Blockbuster. He used to own the Miami Dolphins down here in Florida. And that ran its course. I was promised everything under the sun: stock options, equity, my own private plane. I got none of that. And then when Wayne sold the company, everything kind of ended. And I had two options: go back to the classroom, or I'm like, wait a second, I learned something here. I want to help other businesses grow and scale, and really help people like myself that want to be entrepreneurs do the right thing. Started working with educational companies, and now you name it, I've probably worked in that industry with some sort of a client. That's why I would say I really didn't need to decide what I wanted to be when I grew up, because now I work everywhere.
That's such an awesome story. And, it's very interesting because my background is so completely different than what I do today.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in the entrepreneur space and sales space start out over here and wind up totally over there.
Yeah.
And sometimes we are like, oh my God, I can't do it. And hearing stories like yours about total unexpected pivots is just, teaches us that we all can.
Yeah, and ironically, right, almost 10 years to the day later, it's common now for teachers to be leaving the classroom and starting their own businesses. But
Yeah.
I feel like I was somewhat of a trailblazer.
So I would like you to share with our audience about your influences and your inspirations, because that's something I think that when people are starting out in business or when they're pivoting in their careers, finding places to get and take inspiration from really makes a big difference. And you and I had a very interesting conversation about that. Will you share with our audience, please?
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's no shortage nowadays of finding the information that you want, right? Whether it's books or YouTube or podcasts, whatever it is, there's a ton of stuff out there. I always say the most informative for me is kind of the book or the podcast or the influencer I'm currently most engaged with, right?
Right.
Right now I'm really big on Chris Voss, Never Split the Difference. I love what he talks about. He's a former FBI negotiator who used to negotiate hostages. Now he took that skill and teaches people in business how to negotiate and communicate, and how to pick up on cues and stuff like that. So
Right.
that's really kind of been, that's the current one I'm in. And why? Because I'm having more and more conversations with people, and I really wanted to kind of double down on that. I mean, some of the, Good to Great is another book, and another kind of influence that I really enjoyed and kind of gone along. And then, the Gary V's of the world have always been someone that, I found him very early on in my entrepreneurial career, learned a lot from him. I think
Yeah.
there's a little bit of something you take from everybody. I say it's kind of like a buffet. You take what you need and you leave the rest.
Right, right. Those are very similar to some of my influences as well. I totally resonate with that. Hello, hello, awesome listener. Thank you so much for joining us today at GabTalks Success Tips from Experts. We're going to take a short break and say thank you to our sponsors. It is through the generous support of these sponsors that we are able to bring to you these amazing experts that are sharing their best tips for your success. So please listen to what our sponsors have to say, and hopefully they're going to inspire you that you're going to click their links and go support them.
It's time to take a vacation from processed foods. The ultimate lifestyle transformation kit will upgrade the way you look, feel, and perform, or will give you your money back, guaranteed. By taking a vacation from processed foods, you will detoxify your organs, cleanse your cells, and remove chemicals from your gut. And once you begin to nourish your cells and balance your hormones, you may notice increased energy, lower stress, deeper sleep, heightened mental clarity, improved digestion, and sexy lean muscle. Any of that sound interesting to you? You have nothing to lose and everything to gain. You already eat every day, and what you eat really matters. This is your chance to upgrade your food, upgrade your health, and upgrade your life.
Is your computer secure? Is your personal information at risk? Global internet traffic is at an all-time high due to COVID, with mobile accounting for over half of it. Is your financial data under attack? People are on YouTube and Facebook and all over social media. Hackers are everywhere. Can you protect yourself? Tech Assist can help. I think I've been hacked. Help. Keep your personal data safe. Oh no, my computer isn't working. Abby and Dar are your answer.
So listen, we always ask this question, and I think that this is interesting for you and me because we both have kids that are teenagers that are going to be going out into the work world really soon. If you were able to go back and talk to yourself when you were that age, or if we were talking to my daughter or your son, what would you tell them as one piece of advice before they go out into that work world?
I love that question for so many reasons, right? Because I had this, my son is in 8th grade right now, and he had a 90s day, and I was a 90s baby, right? So
Right.
he's like, all right, I got to dress up. What do I wear? So I'm going to my closet, picking out clothes for him to wear. And then he's like, Dad, like what was it like in the 90s? I'm like, well, like some things were the same, some were different. But I said, like the technology we have now, I would have never thought we would have had some of that stuff when we were kids. I mean, I've got, a smart refrigerator and cameras everywhere and flat screen TVs and all this stuff. So, when I look back at like what advice would I give my younger self, it'd be hard because I don't think I would have been ready to see the world as it is now, So I would say advice to my younger self would be like, you don't know what the world's going to be like. So try things that are different, look at things that are different. I think the one piece of advice I would give both my current children and myself back then is that college is not going to make or break you. But college could also be the most important thing in your life. I'm really torn on that because I think if I didn't get my degree, I would have never been able to teach. If I didn't get my master's, I would have never gotten the job I got. I wouldn't have opened the doors for me. Could have there been other paths I could have taken? Yes. I know people a lot of times say, are you saving for your kids' college and all that? I'm like, they're on their own on that one. Like, I'm like, how are you going to learn if you don't pay for it? But fortunately, they're really smart. I think they're going to get full rights. But my advice to him would be, especially entering in the world, is find something you're passionate about, find something you love. But it's such a cliche saying, but it's so true. Work for something you love first, the money will follow. And I really believe that a lot of people, and there are plenty of people out there that chase the money and are doing very well and they have lots of money and a nice house, but the money always comes. When I taught, I was a teacher, I never worried about money. I know we could have a long discussion about the teachers get paid enough, but when I was a teacher, I felt like I always had what I needed. I always had what I needed. And then when I went into entrepreneurship, even when there was risks, for some reason money found me. So I think if you do what you believe in, you do what you love, the money finds you.
I agree. I find that now that I'm working much more into my true authentic self in things I'm passionate about, it feels much more right. And the money does find us much more easily. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah.
you don't feel so much a slave to it. So I know that you do a ton of work in marketing and digital and with all of your background and teach people all of these things in sales. And I know that's an area that many of our audience needs a little bit of guidance in. So will you please share with us some of your best tips that they can go out and take action on right now?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's like, and you made a great forever the story about my son, right? I have 4 kids. So I have a 4-year-old, I got to remember this now, 4, 5, 12, and 14, right? So when you look at them, it's like, hey, go clean your room, right? When I tell that to my older kids, they run up the stairs, they know what to do. When I tell it to my 2 younger kids, they bounce into each other and bump in and don't know what they're doing. And then usually the 2 older ones end up cleaning the room. So the reason why I give that reference is in business, it depends on where you're at, right?
Right.
And the stage of business. I always say there's like that infant, that toddler, that teenage year, and then you become like I always call it a big boy or big girl business, right? Like you finally grow up and you do that. So I think it all depends on the stage, but I had conversations this month with 4 different types of businesses. One was a business that's basically a startup. One is that's trying to go from 6 to 7 figures, and one that's trying to go from 7, from I think they want to be a $60 million to $100 million company, right? Conversations were all about the same. and there was 3 things. What do we do to generate more leads, which is marketing? How do we close those leads and make sure that we have the right product and service to deliver that to them? And more importantly, how do we retain those clients, right? Because it's really for me, and what I see with a lot of business, it's really easy to do the first 2.
Yeah.
Marketing is easy, and I'm in marketing, right?
Right.
It's a Facebook post, it's creative. There's so many tools out there between Canva and Fiverr. I mean, you could get a logo and a business up and running in 24 hours if you put a little bit of effort into it. And even putting it out there, I think you could generate leads. You and I were talking about that a little bit earlier, right? It's easy to get 15, 20 people to have initial interest.
Right.
But closing them and turning them into a client and knowing what's the right price point to ask for, what's the right thing to do. I had someone the other day say to me, well, we have this business model where we ask for the whole contract up front. I'm like, okay, but like, does that really work? Like, what happens if you don't service it after 3 months? Are they going to come after you? Do you spend that money right away? Like, what are you doing with it? How are you balancing it? And then more importantly, once you close them, are you really able to service them? Right.
Yeah.
That's the big thing. That's the big question. And I think for any business, you have to be asking constantly, am I attracting the right people? Am I closing the right deals? Am I servicing my clients? I don't care what level your business is at. If you could answer those 3 questions honestly and know that you're in the right process, and you have to be asking that continually, because as your business grows, that's always going to be changing. That's where you go in and make the adjustments. I know that's very 30,000 foot. I could get a little more tactical, but that would be my thing for almost any business, any size, any process,
Yeah, but what I love about what you just said, and I think what is the biggest nugget that everyone can take away, is whether you're making $10,000 a year, $10,000 a month, or $10,000 a day, the number 1, 2, and 3 things that every business needs, asks, and struggles with is essentially the same.
Yeah.
Leads, conversions, follow-up, and retention. And I think I agree with you. Retention is definitely like the thing that people don't really put enough attention on. And it costs so much more to get a new client than to keep existing clients.
Yeah. And I'll tell you, the businesses that I've really helped scale, they've won on customer service every time.
Every time.
And that's why automation scares me. Anytime I hear the word automation, I'm like, yeah. And I know a lot of entrepreneurs love that. Well, I could set up a system and da-da-da. Yeah, but if you got to learn where you need your human touch points to be, because I don't care whether you're selling to 1 people or 1 million people, it's about relationships. You look at Elon Musk, you look at Apple. A lot of people purchase that, yes, because they had great products, but also because they believe in the relationship with the founders or what the people are doing. So it's, that has a lot to do with it.
So whether you're a solopreneur or you have a company of 50 or a company of 50,000, it's all about the relationships.
Yep, 100%.
You're 100%. Speaking my language. This is why you and I became friends online 5+ years ago, because that was my language then. And you and I are have a very similar view in that way.
Yep. Yep. And I think too, and then the other thing comes, and I think this is the most important thing if I could dig in on this, and I always tell everyone this, you know, find the things you're good at. And I say for most people, it's 3 to 5 things. Find the things you're really good at when you're starting your business and do that. And do
Yeah.
that in every aspect of your business. Then look at those 3 to 5 things and say, okay, which one of those things am I great at?
Yeah.
And that's where you go deep. And then what's left, you hire for. And the reason why I say that is if you hire for what you're good at, you'll know if you're hiring the right person. And a lot of
Yeah.
people go out and try to hire, and this goes back to customer service, and they don't know or they never done the job. It's really hard. I remember, I worked at Circuit City in college in sales. And I remember one of the guys going through the management program, he had to work in every role in the company, in the store. So everything from a sales guy to working at the cash register, just to the guys in the back warehouse that pulled things on the truck. He spent a week in every job before he could go into the management program.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive. I think that a lot of companies should be doing more of that.
Yep. Yeah.
And
And I think that's just a big thing. And that will allow you success and growth, and it helps you build your teams. And I know that's in why can't I think of the book now? It's not, it's an ebook. E-Myth. There you go. See, I said ebook and him. In the E-Myth, I know they talk about that, writing the SOPs and doing that. And even if you're doing the job, there still should be an SOP for it. That book is so spot on for early entrepreneurs. That's also probably another must read.
for sure. That is a great book. On each episode of GabTalks Success Tips from Experts, we like to highlight a hero sponsor who is a business that chooses to highlight a do-good organization in their own community that is bettering the world. Today's hero sponsor is...
Hello, world. This is Z, or you can call me Mr. Z. I am a web developer, and I am also a consultant from Z World Webs. Today, I want to highlight the Spiro Foundation, because this nonprofit organization is truly dedicated to arresting the spread of human trafficking. This includes prevention, education, recovery, and of course, technology. If you would like to learn more about the Spiro Foundation, please visit their website at www.spiro-foundation.org. And again, their website is www.spero-foundation.org, to which Spiro is Latin for I hope. Or you may scan their QR code. The link can be found in the show notes. So with that being said, my name is Z from Z World Webs, and let's develop a website Z World is waiting for. Thank you.
So, Mike, we are coming to the end of this interview, and I know that you are just like this absolute wealth of knowledge, and people should be talking to you and reaching out to you to help them with what they're doing. So will you share with them what is the best way that they can find you?
Yeah, absolutely. MikeFicara.com is my website, and that's got links to all my social media. And then also on pretty much all social media platforms, I'm just Mike Ficara. So if you search me there, you should be able to find me. And that's the best way to get in contact with me and connect.
Awesome. And we will get those links down below in the show notes and in the description so that you guys can click on them, reach out to Mike, let him know that you found him through GabTalks. Also, I know, Mike, you have actually written your own book. Where can they find that?
Yep. So same place. It's actually right there behind me, like Socks on a Rooster. It's called like Socks on a Rooster. It's an entrepreneurial cliche buster, basically, right? And they can find that right on the website. It's on Amazon. And on my website, if there's a shop, if you click on the shop on my website and you enter in the word podcast, you can get the book for just shipping and handling. So
nice. Nice. I think that my copy that you've personally signed to me is already in the mail, right?
Yes.
Wink, wink.
It's on the way.
I'm teasing. I think I already have a copy.
Yeah, I may
you
have sent
guys,
you one already if you were on the show. I believe everyone that was on the show got one already.
yeah, so you guys do click the link, check out his book. He is a wealth of information and a wealth of knowledge. He has a great client base, and again, we met 5 years ago online, stayed friends, have had lots of conversations. And I know that there's been a few times where I've had questions and I go and say, Mike, I don't know how to answer this. What do you think? So you guys reach out to him, find out how he can help you. Make sure that you click the subscribe button and don't forget to set your reminders so that you find out when our next episode is being published. Hey, thanks so much for watching. We hope you got value today. We want to give a huge shout out of gratitude to our contributors. Please make sure you click the subscribe button below and don't forget to click the bell up above to get reminders when we add new content.